Freddie Mercury didn't just sing, he commanded sound. He wielded his voice not as an instrument, but as a force of nature, a sonic tempest that could stir the quietest heart and shake the foundations of the largest stadiums. For decades, we've been captivated by it. That soaring, defiant, and impossibly versatile voice that powered the anthems of generations. It was a voice that felt bigger than the man himself, a phenomenon that seemed to defy the very laws of biology and physics. One note, one impossible, spine-tingling note, could make the world stop and listen. It was a sound so rich, so complex, that it made scientists, audiologists, and vocal experts around the world pause their work, look at each other, and ask a simple yet profound question. How is this even possible? This is the story of a voice that broke the rules of physics, and in doing so, rewrote the rules of music forever. For years, the voice of Freddie Mercury was the stuff of legend, a modern myth whispered among fans and fellow musicians. He could belt out a stadium-shaking anthem like "We Are the Champions," whisper a tender ballad like "Love of My Life," and unleash a guttural rock and roll roar, sometimes all within the space of a single song. Fans described his voice with words that seemed to grasp at the sublime. They called it operatic, raw, angelic, and otherworldly. It was a voice that seemed to contain multitudes, a 4-octave range that was less a scale and more a vast emotional landscape. Other rock stars, titans of the industry in their own right, spoke of him with a unique reverence. They recognized a peerless talent, a vocalist whose technical mastery was matched only by his unparalleled showmanship. To them, he wasn't just a rock singer, he was a grand maestro who happened to choose a stadium as his opera house. But behind the myth, behind the wall of sound and the curtain of stagecraft, there was something tangible, something that could be measured, analysed and quantified, something that a group of dedicated scientists would later set out to study and struggle to fully explain. They wanted to peel back the layers of the legend and look at the engine underneath. The quest to decode this vocal anomaly led to a landmark 2016 study published in the journal Logopedics Phoniatrics Vocology. A team of Austrian, Czech and Swedish researchers, led by voice scientist Professor Christian Herbst, embarked on a unique challenge. They couldn't put Freddie Mercury himself in a lab, so they did the next best thing. They analysed a wealth of archival recordings, isolating his voice from the rich tapestry of Queen's music. To understand the mechanics, they also filmed a professional rock singer who was a gifted Mercury impersonator, capturing his vocal fold movements at over 4,000 frames per second as he mimicked Freddie's signature growls and tones. They were looking for the physical data behind the artistic magic, and what they found was stunning. The first major discovery was in his vibrato, that gentle, pulsating change in pitch that gives a singer's voice warmth and richness. A typical classical singer's vibrato oscillates between 5.4 and 6.9 Hz. Freddie's vibrato was a chaotic, beautiful outlier. It pulsed at an average of 7.04 Hz, a rate closer to a tremor than a standard vibrato. This higher, more irregular frequency gave his voice a signature shimmer, a sense of urgency and passion that was literally embedded in the sound waves he produced. It was faster, more energetic, and more unpredictable than almost anyone else's. But the vibrato was just the beginning. The researchers uncovered the secret to his iconic roar. Many rock vocalists push their voices into a high, thin sound called falsetto to hit the highest notes. Freddie rarely did. Instead, he employed something far more complex, a vocal phenomenon so rare that many singers can't access it at all: subharmonics. So, what exactly are subharmonics? Imagine your vocal cords are a guitar string vibrating to create a note. Now imagine a second, thicker string vibrating right alongside it, but at a different, lower frequency. That's essentially what Freddie was doing inside his throat. Subharmonic phonation occurs when the ventricular folds, often called false vocal cords, which sit above the true vocal cords and aren't typically used in speech or singing, are engaged and begin to vibrate along with the true vocal cords. This creates a complex, layered sound, as if two distinct notes are being produced at once. It's a technique more commonly found in tube and throat singing than in Western rock music. It's what gave Freddie's voice that incredible texture, that signature growl that could make a single note sound as rich and full as a power chord. He wasn't just singing a note, he was building it, layering it with texture and depth in real time. Most singers spend a lifetime trying to master control over their true vocal cords. Freddie Mercury had mastered a second hidden set, and he did it live with astonishing power and precision. It's part of what made his voice feel so rich, so haunting, so impossible. The science is fascinating. It explains the mechanics, the how behind the sound, the faster vibrato, the subharmonic growl. These are the technical specifications of a one-of-a-kind instrument. But the science doesn't explain the magic. It doesn't explain why that sound connects so deeply with the human soul. For that, we have to look beyond the physics and into the heart of the performance. Freddie's voice wasn't just technically brilliant. It was emotionally tuned to a masterful degree. He was a storyteller, and his voice was his entire cast of characters. He could shift from the heartbreaking vulnerability of a lonely soul in somebody to love to the unshakable, defiant confidence of a champion in a single phrase. Listen to Bohemian Rhapsody. It's not a song, it's a vocal odyssey. He's a balladeer, an opera singer, a hard rocker, and a choir, all embodied in one man. That incredible control over the physical aspects of his voice, the subharmonics, the vibrato, gave him an unparalleled emotional palette. The growl wasn't just a sound, it was rage, it was passion, it was pain. The soaring high notes weren't just impressive, they were expressions of pure, unadulterated joy and freedom. That's why his performances still hit us in the gut, decades later. We aren't just hearing a singer, we're feeling what he felt. The science explains the sound, but the soul he poured into it, that's something else entirely. Today, the legacy of that voice is everywhere. It lives on in the artists he inspired and the performers who carry the torch. Vocalists like Adam Lambert, who fronts Queen with spectacular flair, don't attempt to imitate Freddie, an impossible task, but rather to honour his legacy, channeling his energy while adding their own unique brilliance. It takes a vocalist of incredible calibre to even step into that role, a testament to the sheer difficulty of what Freddie made look so effortless. Vocal coaches still use his recordings as the ultimate case study in power, control and texture, often with a disclaimer, don't try this at home. His technique was so singular, so physically unique, that trying to replicate it without understanding the underlying mechanics could be damaging, and yet new generations of fans continue to discover his music, drawn in by that same magnetic force that captivated the world over 40 years ago. They feel the chills during the climax of Bohemian Rhapsody. They stomp their feet to We Will Rock You, and scientists, even with their data and analysis, still marvel at the physics-defying power of his voice, a beautiful anomaly that was perfectly, impossibly real. Freddie Mercury didn't just sing, he showed us the very limits of the human voice and then soared right past them. He flipped what we thought we knew about music, anatomy, and the power of a single human being to move the world. Want more stories about music mysteries, weird science, and the emotional truths that connect us all? Subscribe to MindFlipsTV, where curiosity meets connection. Freddie Mercury didn't just sing, he commanded sound, bending the very rules of physics with his voice. Years after his passing, scientists tried to decode his genius. They discovered a vibrato faster than most opera singers and a rare, powerful use of subharmonics, a technique that created a rich, layered sound that felt almost otherworldly. They explained the how, the mechanics behind the magic, but science can only go so far. It can't measure the raw emotion, the vulnerability, or the defiant joy he poured into every single note. It can't explain why his voice still resonates so deeply in our souls. That is the true enigma of Freddie Mercury. His voice wasn't just a technical marvel, it was a human connection forged in sound. The legend lives on, a lasting mystery defying both science and time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to MindFlipsTV for more amazing stories and music mysteries.